Joining us on this is Coach Michael Smith. He has been a head football coach for over 20 years.
And my very first question is, have you ever seen a parent arrested or escorted away from a game? And kind of what happened?
Um, no, I've not actually seen that live. I've seen it online, and I've heard about it. I've seen parents be asked to leave, and they do leave. It's never been the arrested part. Um, but for various reasons, probably sportsmanship. Some of them are drinking, and that's maybe it's not even apparent. And I've not seen these things at Woodland where I'm at now. It's previous places.
Previous places. Okay, so why do you think there's a lot of hostile parents at youth sports games? Like why do you think it's so common?
I think honestly, media or just there's so much social media out there. There's so many opportunities for kids to play or not multiple sports, but be specialized in a sport. And I think they can make it to a higher level than is realistic. And when little Johnny is not playing as much or isn't as good, whatever the case may be, I think a lot of people's dreams are shattered. And it's so hard. I've coached and played at the collegiate level. It's hard to play the lowest level of college football or college sports, period. It's hard. So to make it to a professional level is freak status,
Mhm.
and I don't think people just don't realize how hard it is.
Okay. All right. So, do you think is it being a coach because you deal with you probably deal with parents all the time that
Mhm.
are angry. Why is it a problem? What is it about it that really just makes your job harder? And does it make coaching less enjoyable? Why is it a problem? Like, what is the main matter of it? Like, just why is it a problem to you?
I don't personally have a lot of problems right now. I think in other I have in the past, and I think for me, just as a head coach and as a coach, you just learn how to deal with things and not let certain things ruffle your feathers. I'm finally to the point where I feel like I've got pretty thick skin and a lot of stuff doesn't bother me too much. But I just think it's the same thing as probably anybody who gets upset about stuff. It's a lack of control. I don't have control over whether my son plays or I didn't play, and I really want my son to play or my daughter or whatever the case may be. I think it's really that's what it comes down to is just a lack of control and an inability to control behavior based off of that. People love their kids and they want the best thing for them. I think a lot of time it probably does come from a good place, but then the way it's shown can be obviously pretty negative.
Oh, okay, yeah. Have you seen parents' behavior rub off on the kids? Like, do you see them kind of start repeating some of the thing they say, or do they get aggressive themselves, get violent, or do you see any kind of correlation with that, or do you think that has no impact?
Oh, definitely. It definitely does. Kids, not so much the violent part, and I'm a bigger guy. Maybe that's helpful, but the what they say, how they say it, yeah, it's definitely a learned behavior. I think most kids don't have certain opinions that they have. It's clearly something that they've learned, good and bad.
Yeah.
There's kids that are just well behaved and they're awesome, and then there's obviously the opposite. And I think just as a coach or as a teacher, your job is to figure out what makes these kids click and how can we get through to them.
Okay. All right. Do you think it's just sports where we are seeing this aggression, or do you think society as a whole has been getting more aggressive? Do you think that's just where we are? Does it just seem like that? Is that really the case? Or do you think sometimes the media kind of overplays it a little bit, makes it seem worse than what it really is?
It probably is overplayed. It's not something I see that much, although I things are maybe a little bit more aggressive. And I think again, it's social media. It's just the ability to have you have access to everybody 24/7. And you can say things behind a phone or a screen that you wouldn't say to somebody's face. So, and then a lot of people sit and they internalize that. And I think that that is probably one of the biggest problems, just the mental health aspect of it, and the lack, still the lack of attention paid to mental health in our country is probably the biggest pandemic we have, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you as a coach, where do you draw the line between a parent trying to be supportive of their kid and a parent that's just being outright disruptive? Where do you draw the line?
Well, I tell the parents in our parent meeting, like, don't call me to complain about playing time. Don't call me to tell me what plays I'm calling or what. Don't talk to me about those things. I tried to be kind of nice on the front end, and it backfired on me. I've just told them, and I say it nicely. You
Hmm.
know, this isn't a conversation we're going to have. In 5 years, if your kid's not playing and you just want to come up and shoot the breeze about football, that's different. But I'm not going to talk about other players. I'm not going to do those things. I think that if you set a firm guideline, that's the key, and a time frame. If I always tell the kids, talk to your position coach first. Why am I not playing? Then me, and then if it gets to the point where we absolutely have to involve, an athletic director and a parent, it's just being pushed. We'll do those things, but my parents always made me talk to the coach, ask questions, take some ownership. That's a big thing we talk about in our program. So that's what I have the kids do. And generally speaking, they understand why they are or are not playing. I feel like we're pretty fair, but sometimes, and again, I've not had this problem at Woodland, but just in the other places,
Yeah.
parents do get a little bit
Yeah.
honest.
Okay. So, from what you've seen, what have you seen? What do parents do, or what can a parent do if they know they have anger problems but want to be there to support their kid?
Uh, I think they could probably, maybe they need to be removed from, like, don't sit in the middle of the stands where they can hear lots of other things or people chirping or
Hmm.
whatever. Maybe they stand down by the fence a little further away from everybody and just try to really absorb. Hey, I'm just watching my kid play. That would probably help me if there was something I was mad about. I think
Yeah.
just don't immerse yourself in a situation that pumps you up like that. Probably the best advice I've got, and just continue to be realistic about what the case is. And if you have, again, if your son has issues, talk to the coach.
Hmm.
There's a chain of command in every aspect of life. So just follow that, and I think it does set the tone with the coach. We have to make sure we're being fair and honest and direct, and that they understand the expectations. Um, I most of the time I have a headset on, so I can't hear what the heck they say anyway. But
Okay.
sometimes my wife tells me stuff. It's not
Yeah.
always nice.
Yeah, I can imagine. There's chirping, but sometimes it's
Yeah,
in good nature and not,
sure.
but not always.
Not always. Yeah,
But I guess that just kind of comes with the territory, and I think a lot of people who play sports or been involved with sports kind of know that.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I have one last question, and as a coach, and just from what you have to say, what do you think everyone sometimes needs to be reminded of about youth sports? What is something that you think some people, not everybody, but maybe some people tend to forget?
That it's just about your child playing a game, and they're growing as a human being. Just depending on what level you're talking about, some of them it's just dexterity of catching a ball or moving differently, moving with equipment on, gaining some self confidence. We have kids that come out, sometimes they've never played football. They come out as seniors. I And some of them, they're not great athletes, but I'm excited that they're out because they're trying something new, and that's the key to life. You got to be willing to try new stuff and be involved. And it's a great socialization. You get to be around different people. Some of the kids that are doing, or I can speak to this year, FFA kid who also is in the band. Now he's trying football. Like, those are great life experiences for that person. No, he's not going to go play in the NFL. I mean, there's nobody on our roster that's going to play in the NFL. It's just the way it is, and that's okay. But I think it's understanding what the purpose of the sports are. Yes, if you can go play at the next level, awesome. That's great. And I think that that's important if that's what you want to do. But I really believe just the opportunity for kids to do something, be busy, and kind of get after it, and they grow as human beings. We all get better if we're exposed to more things.